All right, Four Against Darkness. Man, I have been looking at Four Against Darkness and really been a part of the community, lurking in the forums and just checking this game out for probably 6, 7 years. It's been a minute, and really want to try to capture that feeling I had as a kid, right, with Dungeons and Dragons. And that was so many moons ago. I think maybe Dirt was invented back then. But here we are with the new expanded edition that was released. The rules are much more approachable, and I find that the layout is more engaging, and the content in the book itself has really sort of encouraged me to sort of take a look deeper and create more of a concise boxed board game. So that's what I've done here, and let's just take a look at it. Okay, so first things first, I guess I have created a box for it, right? Went through my processes. If you've seen some of my other videos of sort of painting the box and then adding some materials on top, right? Some color art there, inspired by the book and the game itself. And then here we've got all of the materials. So I have built this, hopefully, for one complete game experience, right? Well, there's a lot of different experiences that are a part of this box, but the idea is that there's so much content in here, as you've seen with my other builds with Hero Quest Broadsword and the Advanced Hero Quest game that I built, right? And the other Dungeons and Dragons sets that I've put together. I like to really pack in the biggest experience possible. So components here, we got the books here. Let's just talk about these first, and then we will get into the components. So right off the bat, I am all about creating more immersion, right? So I created this character sheet here, and this is based off of the character sheet that's actually a part of the new enhanced rule book piece for Four Against Darkness. And then here you can see just a little bit more color and immersion there. And then also put together, there's a fair amount of sort of rules, flow chart kind of action here, defense modifiers, attack modifiers, initiative flow chart pieces here, and then of course more color and theme. I think you're seeing what I'm getting on about. All right, and then this, I really was excited about having a marching order template, right? Something where I can put my tokens on there for the characters that I'm playing, and we can see who's in the front, who's in the rear as we're having encounters, and it's all recorded here. So the other piece I love about Four Against Darkness is that you can really add, right, those pieces like I just did there. There's so much content available that you can use all the books, some of the books, none of the books. And so I have added what I feel like is really where I want to be in terms of content. So Twisted Doors, probably one of my favorite things, probably in almost any sort of dungeon crawl game that I play, right? And then Dungeons of Doria has a door sort of encounter table, right? When you come to a door, you roll the door. Maybe it's open, maybe it's not, maybe it's charged with electrical power. So all kinds of different ways that you can interact with when you come to a door. The encounters book. Now this I put together as a way to sort of keep track of my encounters, right? Because with this game, if you're familiar, as you kill minions and you kill a certain number, then you can gain levels, right? So it's a way to sort of track those sort of encounters and kills and all that kind of stuff. All right, now the book does come with several adventures in it, right? But I wanted to just make sure I had enough smaller adventures, other adventures here, really to keep me occupied for some time. And so the Dungeon Atlas is a great way to do that. So this one is also a supplement that's available. and you can pick that up as a part of your game. And then this book, I can always add more things to it as well. So, but this is going to keep me busy for a very long time, I feel. And then along those lines, Andrea, who's designed For Against Darkness, has come out with a smaller adventure, the Truffle Kerfuffle. So I have taken that and in typical sort of Pedro Wayne fashion, embellished it a little bit with a couple more adventures in here. I added lairs, dens, and burrows, which is another supplement to this particular book. And they're more sort of one-off adventures that you can kind of go through. And then there's a couple pieces in the back here. This is a poster adventure, and this you can buy as, and this is one adventure, these 3 maps here. You can buy as large maps that you can have on your table, right? And so I printed them letter size, and I can read these just fine. So, but just putting them in the book. And then, of course, the grid. And so this is the main sort of mechanism that For Against Darkness was sort of created about, where you roll dice for the size of the room, where the doors are, contents, and all of that. And then I created, of course, a little note sheet to go along with that. You know, when you're in the dungeon, it can get pretty messy, and you're dripping sweat and blood and tears all on your map-making utensils as you're going through the dungeon. So that's kind of what that's about. All right, and then here is the original sort of character sheet that's in the book, and again, I added some more color to it, kind of bring out that sort of a immersive aspect that I like to look at. Okay, so there's that. Now, on to these other part of the book. So one of the other pieces with For Against Darkness is the fact that there are cards available, cards for mapping out your dungeons, right? Cards for overland travel, cards for adventure, cards for an oracle as well. And so this is sort of a compendium of all of the card rules that you could expect to have with For Against Darkness, and again to include the Norendal Oracle. So, and these just add a little bit more of a story element, and really that's what this set is all about, right? These cards and how to facilitate that adventure with the cards, and sort of minimize the mechanism of drawing maps. I know that there are a lot of folks that want to draw those maps, and they look at that as another piece of that old school sort of capturing the fun of dungeon delving. And for me, right, I just want to lay down the cards, lay down the tiles, right, for the dungeon and go, and have all of that stuff pre-generated for me, and to not take, you know, that sort of moment away where I've got to draw something or color it, etc., to get to the next step before I can kill monsters. And then here we are now finally with the For Against Darkness book here. And so this one, really love the layout now, just nailed it. And it's definitely more streamlined. There's more characters. I think Fiendish Foes now is a part of the book here. And there is also a couple of adventures that are in here as a part of the book as well. And so just super excited about it. Making the game a little more role-playing, sort of esque. There rules for that, and then here you can see here's the play sheets that come with it, and so and then once again, sort of my take on how I've embellished that. So that is it. Wow, for the resources that I put in here, and there's probably hundreds of hours of adventure just in that little pile of books there, and there's so many more books available. So if you're not familiar with For Against Darkness, take a look at it. It is the rabbit hole that is it's extensive, that right there. So let's take a look at the components. And here we go. All right, so the component trays, of course, if you're familiar with my games, you know I love to use sort of card stock and paint that, and to have component trays that I can just put out on the table. And the whole idea is I can just take these trays out, put them out, and they will just allow me to get to playing right away. So what do we have here? Well, so I've got characters, right? You can play a variety of characters, and that's what these are here. So as an example, you have a wizard, right? And a ranger on here, like so. And maybe you have a rogue, or a thief, and a bulwark, or like a cleric type warrior, right? And then you can have a torch here, or a lantern, and one can have a torch. Maybe you have a backup lighting source kind of happening there. So that's kind of how the marching order sort of works. And then I have taken these character tokens, and they are actually, right? Do you recognize that? What is it? Boo, Minsk, and Boo. Boo, go for the eyes, Boo. Anyway, I digress. But so here is my collection for those tokens. I did put together if I can get this to focus, a token for when I have the map cards out. And then I did create specifically for that standee tokens for each one of those characters that is on the standee. Not that I need to necessarily use that, but that's what that is. And then these tokens are for other map decks that I have in the collection, and I will show those here shortly. Okay, let's take a look. What else is in the box? All right, so we talked about the tokens, we talked about the cards. Overland travel is a thing, and within the card rules, there is a way to use the geomorph cards, geomorph cards, we can get it out there, here for overland travel. And so you can actually have your token right on there, and you're moving through the environment. And so we've got, what do we have here? We've got the kingdom cards, and we've got all of them, right? The seas, high seas, Frostlands, desert, marshes. So there's a lot in there. And then the other piece here is, and I love the idea of sort of individual map cards as you are adventuring. And so that's what these are. And these, I believe, were designed by Andrea as well. And I think probably my favorite cards, although I would love to see Alexei Aparin, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who designed the geomorph cards and create more of a geomorph style interior dungeon space with the cards. So we'll see. That would be great to have. I would have to probably augment my set if something like that came to fruition. As it is right now, Alexei did design these. There's caves, mines, necropolis, and the forest. And so these are all about having a pre-designed sort of dungeon adventure with multiple rooms on it, and the cards go together like so. Really like these a lot too. So lots of variety in the dungeons and places that you can sort of visit. And look at that. How cool is that? So just love the whole concept behind these cards as well. So there's that. Down the home stretch. Let's take a look here. These next set of trays here contain the adventure cards. And there's a lot of videos out on the interwebs about how these things work, but wanted to make sure that I included these. I feel like there's probably enough content in these cards just right here to really last a good long while. It's going to keep me busy for a minute or two. And so with each one of these cards, right, you draw the card, you get the room size, or like in this case, it's an outdoor area. There's story elements. So I just really like that whole part about building in a little bit more story, and that these Norendal Oracle cards kind of help to do that as well. So super stoked about adding that to the box set. And then lastly, the monster cards. Here we go. So we have what is these? This is the Vermin cards, right? And so again, it's just some cards that give you all of the monsters. Well, and this isn't all of the monsters, but it is more monsters, right, than just sort of the base book and all of that. So there's Vermin in here, and then bosses and minions, all kinds of different critters to kind of go up against. So full set of monster cards to sort of round out the collection. So that, my friends, has been For Against Darkness, the expanded version. Maybe I should have called it the card version. At any rate, there you go. Would love to hear your thoughts on this little project.